Kasi yung third pala is due on the 15th of February, no? By the way. Some people are asking if they can miss out on the forms kasi kasali sa rubrics yung forms. Okay? Yung inputs, no? Bootstrap forms. I highly suggest you include forms, just even a mock contact form or registration form. Do you follow? Have you tried registering the website like Facebook, di ba? Lazada, no? When you register, you will be asked your username, your email, whatever there is, it needs to be asked of you before you can register. So you can make use of a mock registration form or a mock contact form where you could send an email to yourself. But we will not do the email yet, just the form. Okay. I was looking for my di ba I have transferred the discussion on the HTTP protocol. Nawawala eh. Which I want to discuss it today, no? But if I cannot find it, ginugol ko nawala rin, no? We may have to postpone. For the moment, we'll be looking at nawala talaga yung HTTP protocol. Okay. Wala yung source ko, no? It's a bad thing. So anyway, naka-record na ba tayo? Oh, yes. Lipat ko pa kasi. Okay. So anyway, let's look at the formative assessment, no? Let's look at the results. Okay. Okay. So, okay lang, no? How many people got 100? Got everything. 2 people got 95 to 100. Okay, 90 to 95, 4, 8, 2, 3. Okay, most of you are in the the 80 to 85, no? Or 8 people got. And then 75 to 80. So the passing is 50. Okay, so I think everyone is safe. No? I will convert this to the 60 percentile later. Okay. For the moment, let's discuss the test. No? How can I preview this? Okay. Balik tayo sa 1. Okay. Okay. Which CSS selector is used to choose all paragraphs immediately after a div element? Anyone? Sandali lang ah. According to W3 schools, no? It's div plus p immediately after. Okay? When you say immediately after, div plus p. Okay? Immediately followed a paragraph. All paragraphs that immediately follow a div. Okay? Any questions? You may have a different, Kasi number 1 ito sa akin. Which is the correct link in the external style sheet? Okay. So the link command. So
excuse sir, sa div plus p sir ba kay di ba ang plus kay gina-select lang niya ang first element that is
after.
placed immediately after?
After, yes. Ano bang sabi doon dito? Di ba immediately after?
All,
sir.
all sir.
All that
So,
are immediately after. Hindi lang yung isa lang.
hindi siya sir yung parang ano ganitawag na symbol nito?
Immediately after. Ito, sharp. Which one is your choice?
None of the choices sa akin, sir.
Just let's
Kasi
do that, no?
may selector din na selects every element that is preceded by an
W3,
element.
W3 schools. CSS selector. Okay. Nandito yan eh. No? Div plus P. Select the first element that is placed immediately after.
Hindi siya yung sa baba niya, sir, yung parang tilde na ano.
Preceded. A paragraph preceded by what's a UL unordered list.
Kasi
So,
every man, sir, ay all man nakalagay sa question tapos
all pa rin ito.
first lang yan na
First lang
first lang
ang
yung
ano niya,
ma-select dyan, sir.
Lagi, all paragraphs after. Which comes first? First after.
Ano,
No,
sir,
pero kung marami silang paragraphs after a divs. Can we try this?
ang first lang ang ma-select, sir, pag
Okay,
maraming
what if you have two
P.
divs? What if you have two divs? And then several of them have their own paragraphs.
So, ang gamitin, sir, kay yung sa baba.
Why don't you try this, okay? I-try na lang natin ito sa W3
Sige,
spaces.
sir.
No? Wala na po niya akong W3 spaces. Let me look for my password. Na yan, hindi mabuti hindi naging ng password. Okay. CSS, no? Meron tayong CSS. CSS test. Wala tayong CSS test. Let's create a new file. Oops. Mali na, hindi ko narinig. But anyway, saan siya napunta? Mali. The only way to do this is to test, no? Hindi makakuha ito. Okay, so let's have a div. And let's have a P here. Ayan. First paragraph. Okay. Wala kasing emit itong ano. There's no emit in W3 schools. Second paragraph. Pwede na yan. Okay. Let me put yung first div. Let me just run this. First paragraph. Okay, second paragraph. Okay. Tama ba? Wala na ito dapat. Let's remove this. Okay. Let's put a BR. First div. Bakit walang hindi nag-ano ng BR? Gawin na lang nating block. So, bakit nagkagano, no? First div, first paragraph, second paragraph. Saka nilagyan niya ng BR. Kanina hindi. Okay? Do you follow? Okay na ito, no? And then we'll put a style in the header. Ito na lang, no?
Sir, I think
Yes. Di
Sir,
na
I
dyan.
think I
Ah.
think hindi i-enclose ng div yung mga paragraphs, sir, kasi magiging child elements na yung paragraph. So
Yeah.
dapat div tapos nasa baba lang yung paragraphs.
Kasi followed, no? Let us again choose all paragraphs immediately after a div. It didn't specify. Gusto natin i-test yun, di ba? Let's find out if it's covered. Okay? Okay?
Sige, sir.
Test muna natin. Kasi it means all paragraphs immediately after a div. It didn't say end div. Do you follow? But usually it's a begin div. Di ba? Kasi ang gusto mong gawin na itong first paragraph, if after dito sa div and div tag,
Ano, sir, yung div tapos mag-end na yung div tapos
bago
baba
yung
paragraphs
paragraph.
na.
Oh, yun
Yes, sir.
kasi ang issue natin doon, no? Di ba? Di ba? Pwede niya ito, no? Kasi followed by a div. When we say a div, it's a beginning div. Di ba? Wala rin kasi example doon sa ano? Sa nangyari, bakit hindi lumabas? Kasi yung style natin, hindi pa natin na-end. Sorry na. So ano yung selector natin? Div plus P. Right? Sorry, saan ba yan? Okay, shall we say color? Red. Pwede ba? Bakit nagkaganyan, no? Tingnan na lang natin yung example ng ano. Yung example ba ang
So hindi siya nagagana kasi child element yung paragraph. So ang
kaya
selector for ano lang siya, yung parang hindi siya child element, good sir.
okay, kay child pala yung also. Let's try put it here. After the div. Okay? Ayun, nag-red na siya. So ang ibig sabihin pala nitong ano, div is right after the end div. Do you follow? Kasi hindi nag-red ito eh. Did you get my point?
So
Pero
hindi div
sir,
plus V ang answer, sir.
Yeah.
Kasi all man ang nakalagay sa question. Ang gamitin nata, sir, kay yung tilde na ay yung tilde na selector.
Let's try that. Okay? So tilde P. Anong sabi ng W3 schools about sa tilde? Ito. Selects UL. Selects every UL preceded by a P. Okay? Selects every div. Okay? Div P. Where's the tilde again? Kaya ito maghanap itong. Yan. Okay? Tingnan natin. Meron naman tayong isa, no? So, anong nangyari dyan? All divs naman. This is not the first. Di ba? Do you follow? Kasi div till the UL. Is that what you mean? Div till the UL?
Kasi Yes po, sir. May BR po kasi ata, sir. So,
So tingnan natin, okay? I-remove natin yung mga BR. And then anyway, we'll just give a bibigyan na lang natin ng so ito, these are all paragraphs. Did you see that? Following okay? Do you follow? Did you get my point? Halimbawa, kung plus P lang, it's just the first. Hindi rin to mag-apply ang tilde. Right? Kasi kung ang tilde di rin mag-apply, because in this case here, ito lang first paragraph. Pag gawin natin tilde, it means all. Okay? All element preceded by a P. Preceded by a div. So ito, all paragraphs preceded by a div. Okay, ang ibig sabihin pala ng div na ito is the end div. Okay? End div tag, no? Did you follow? So none of the above na lang tayo. Okay? Did you follow? Let me look at the question bank. Ako na lang mag-change ito na, no? Later, I cannot change it right away here because it will take too much time. So, all paragraph, first paragraph after div, no? Okay, so we'll have to choose none of the no? None of the above. Hindi rin pwede kasi yung no? We cannot use the tilde because the tilde the first. Kasi the question is choose all paragraphs immediately after a div element. Pwede rin pala, no? Okay?
tilde yung ang answer ko, sir. So, none of the
So
none of the other choices.
Okay. So none of the correct answer should be tilde, no? Hindi kasi sinabing first, no? But all paragraphs, okay? So I'll change this, okay? Thank you for the correction. I'll change this. I've noted this already. All will be marked, no? Correspondingly, no? Okay? So any other questions about that, Tilde siya dapat, no? Hindi naman sinabing first, but when it says first, it should be plus. Okay? Okay. So shall we proceed now? I've taken note already. This is letter A, no? Link. Any questions? No? Which bootstraps class spans the entire viewport? Which one?
Container fluid, di ba ang answer dyan, sir?
Let's try that, no? Kasi baka may questions dito, no? Ita-try na lang natin para sigurado, no? Anyway, do we have bootstrap? Yes. So, tanggalin muna natin tong styles. Hindi ko kagulo. Okay. Div class. Container. And this one class. Container fluid. Container dash fluid. Okay, save this. How do we know that it spans the whole paragraph? Can we have a
Lagyan ng color yung div,
background
sir.
color? Lagyan natin ng background color, okay ba?
Okay lang, sir.
Ha? Sana hindi ko na tinanggal ng style. Is the background color okay?
Okay lang, sir.
What's the background style for background color? Background color ba o BG color?
Background color ang ginano.
Dash color?
Yes po.
Okay. Para klaro. Bakit hindi nag-background color? Hindi ko nilagyan, no? Sorry. Div. Expand din siya, no? So the correct answer is container fluid. Di ba? Kasi ang container hindi siya nag-occupy. Is that correct? Which class spans the entire width of the viewport? Di ba? Do you follow? Yung second div, gispan niya lahat. Let's transfer this again. Alam klaro, no? Container fluid. Okay, baligtad yung aking ano, no? Answer. I will just adjust, no? Thumbs. Then ko lang yung answer, no? Nandito sa dulo. I'm just looking at the W3 examples, no? I really not have tried, no? Which bootstrap class spans the entire viewport? Container fluid, is that correct, everyone? They follow? Container fluid, no? Kasi tingnan mo, hindi mag-span yung ano, hindi mag-span yung container. Do you follow? Okay. So container fluid. Now I've taken note already. Now I'll adjust everything. Which bootstrap button will have a default background of blue? Which one is this? BTN primary. Any questions? No. BTN primary will have a different default background of blue. Any questions? Okay. Which W3 CSS container will show elements horizontally? Horizontally? Anong answer dito, anyone?
Sidebar sa maalala ko, sir.
Test po natin. Sidebar ba? W3. Which W3 CSS horizontally? Diba W bar?
Ay, horizontal. Bar.
Okay, W bar, okay?
Right.
W bar. Okay. W bar block vertically. Pag sinabi mong W bar block vertically, okay? Which W3 CSS will occupy 12 columns? Pero by the way, sa W3, if you do not specify the size of a certain viewport size, the number of columns in a viewport size, it will have a default of 12. By the way, no? We will occupy 12 columns in small, okay, 8 columns in medium, and 9 columns in large. Okay, W3 column. Small is what? 12 columns. Meron tayong S12, it's okay. 8 columns in medium and 9 columns in large, okay? S ito, no? Hindi ito SL. Do you follow? So the answer is C, you know?
Hey, sir, hindi
Ha?
po ba siya none of the above? Kay column nakalagay tapos row siya. Ang C, sir.
Ay, sorry, no? So row W3 call pala. Ito pala ang tamang sagot, no? Okay? W3 call
Hindi,
M8.
none of the above, sir. Kay wala siyang 12.
No, it's
Tama pala yan,
because
sir.
when you do not specify, it's default 12, okay? So W3, do you follow? No? Sorry, mali ako
Yes,
dito.
sir.
Tama. Kasi pag hindi mo sinabi yung ano sa W3, pag hindi mo sinabi yung size ng small, it defaults to 12. Okay? Do you follow? Yun yung W3. Okay? So nandito. Okay? Ano tama ba? 8 at saka 19. 8. Yeah, that's correct, no? W3 call, W3 call M8 L9. Pag hindi mo sinabing S12, it's by default 12, okay? So can we proceed? Which style has the correct syntax to select a font color for all H1s? Saan ang tama dito? Font color?
A po, sir.
A. Walang questions, no? Which CSS controls text size? Which CSS anong style sheet controls text size? Font size? Which CSS text size? Ilang kayo, meron ako. Controls text size, font size, no? Font size, font dot dash size. Okay? Do you follow? No? Font dash size. Okay, sometimes you don't memorize this, but you just have to look at W3 schools, no? Which style has the correct syntax to select the background of all paragraphs? We have just tested this, no? Background dash color. Is that correct? Background dash color, no? No, white. I'm sorry, no, mali. Background dash color B. Kasi dapat hindi equals, no? But it's colon, okay? No, sorry, ito pala. Background dash color. We have tested that here, no? Background dash color. Okay? Background dash color, colon white. Hindi equals white. Ito, what's wrong with this? Background walang dash. Okay? Ito merong dash kaya lang equals. Okay? Mga syntax, mali ang mga syntax. BG color, there's no such thing. Okay? Which W3 CSS class will occupy 12 columns in small, 6 columns in medium, and 3 columns in large? 6 columns in small. Call. So W call tayo magtingin. 12 columns in small. So sa itong dalawa, it's either A or rather B or D. Wala namang iba kasi W3 call man, okay? So 12 columns, so we'll look at letter D kasi 12 columns of small, 6 columns of medium, and 3 columns of large. That's letter D. Okay? So no questions so far? Which flex property will arrange the elements in a class from in a horizontal direction from left to right? Anyone? Left to right? Flex direction tayo, di ba? This is flex direction. Okay? Flex direction. So this is flex direction row. Do you follow? This arranges the elements from left to right, no? When you say flex direction, okay? This is a CSS property, no? For arranging the elements, no? Of a class, no? Whether it's a div, it's a paragraph, no? Whatever the elements inside will be arranged from left to right, no? Horizontally. Which bootstrap button will have a default background of red and a color of white? This is BTN danger. Okay? BTN danger, no? Tama ba? Let's do this. No? BTN danger, BTN white. Let's look at this. Kasi white ang nakasabi, no? Which bootstrap button will have and the font color of white? BTN Danger lang. Okay? Is that correct? Kasi yun yung default niya. Ito, BTN Danger. Do you follow? No? Okay. So BTN Danger. Okay? Hindi pwedeng walang BTN, no? You have to specify BTN Danger. Okay? The CSS display property, which will start on a new line, will have borders, height, and width. Okay? So ang span, it's inside the line, no? Okay? So it's called a block, no? When you say display colon block, anong ibig sabihin ng display colon block? It will start on a new line. When you say display colon inline, it will be the same as, it will have borders, no? Height and width values, but it will not start on a new line. It will just start inside the line. Do you follow? Any questions here? The display property, which will have, which will start on a new line. It's a block. Okay. Which CSS shorthand is in place of flex direction column and flex wrap at the same time? Okay. Ano daw ito? Na instead of writing flex direction and flex wrap to twice. Okay? You can just have a shorthand. That shorthand is called flex flow. Okay? So flex direction column, flex wrap. So ito yung flex flow, letter E. Hindi pwede yung letter A kasi no wrap ito. Do you follow? No? So the shorthand for two properties, flex direction and flex wrap, is flex flow. Okay? Para mas madali mong i-type. Okay. Which CSS flex property will arrange the elements in a container in horizontal from right to left. So reverse ito. Okay? Flex direction row reverse. Flex direction row reverse. Is that correct? No? Flex direction row reverse, letter C. Baligtad, no? Which CSS selector is used to choose all headings with class main title? Lahat ng mga heading, H1 headings. Okay? H1, H dot main title, is that correct? Tama ba? Or H, dalawa lang naman sila eh. H1 dot,
Sir.
dot,
Dot,
because the hash is, remember, will choose an ID. Okay? How many columns are there in the Bootstrap grid system? We know that, no? The same in Bootstrap and W3. There's 12 grid columns. There are 12 grid columns. No? Which display property, which will not start on a new line, will have borders, it's inline. No? Inline ito ngayon. Do you follow? Okay. Which statement is a correct comment in CSS?
Letter C, sir.
Letter C, yes. Letter C ba? Di ba C# ito?
CSS rin, sir.
Okay. Yes, CSS, no? This is the same as in C# and CSS. Pareho ito, no? Do you follow? The first letter A is a comment in SQL, no? Di ba? Dash, dash. Letter B is a comment in C++, no? And letter C is also both in CSS and C++ and C#, okay? This is a comment in HTML. So this is letter C. Okay. The correct place in an HTML document to refer to an external CSS in the header is in the head section. No? You follow? Which W3 container will show elements vertically? Anyone? Which
Letter C, sir.
W bar block? Yes. No? Halos pareho lang sila ng ano, no? Pareho lang sila ng bootstrap. Pag sinabi mong bar block, vertical. Pag sinabi mong bar, that's horizontal. Okay? Which style is used to align divs of a class C to
None of the above. Good ang answer ko dyan, sir.
center? To center. Can we try this? Can we try? We have to try this, okay? Text align center. Divs.c. Kasi text align center. Meron ba tayong text align center? Can we try
Meron,
this?
sir, pero ang kinasenter lang niya kay yung text sa sa sulod sa div. Dili ang div mismo ang ginasenter.
Choose to align divs. Hindi ang divs, no? Kasi text align will align to text. Di ba? Dapat ito, this should be text within a divs. Okay? Because it will not align a div, no? It will not align a div. To align a div, you have to assign borders, no? Okay, i-check ko na lang ito, no? Which style to center? Okay. Maraming mali, no? It will not align a div, but okay. To wala man to kung kan. Sandali lang ha. Bakit nawala yung aking ano? I may have made a mistake, no? Was C. Bakit nawala? Ano ko muna na? Ano na? Which style? Ayan, bumalik na number 11. None of the above. It should be the text, not the div. Okay. Because it's not the text. It should be divs, text within the div. No? So we'll have to change this. No? I'm taking notes anyway. No? Which CSS underlines all H2s? Ano ba ito? Text decoration or text underline? Anyone?
Decoration, sir.
Decoration, okay? Dalawang choices lang naman yan. But is there a text style? Wala naman yata ano? Text style. It's just text decoration, okay? Which CSS flex property will arrange on elements in a container from top to bottom and wrap the elements inside? It's the same ano, no? Kung vertical direction, flex direction is column and flex wrap is wrap. Okay? From top to bottom man. There's also column reverse, no? So this is flex direction, okay? Do you follow? Flex direction is column and flex wrap is wrap, okay? So, it's clear, no? Wala na bang ibang choices dyan? It cannot be flow. It cannot be row kasi from top to bottom, okay? The HTML tag to define inline. Okay? To define inline styles is style, okay? Do you follow?
Sir, inline man, sir. So,
Ano
hindi
ba?
siya style.
Styles. Style ba o styles?
None of the above ang answer ko, sir, kasi hindi ata inline yung tag. Kasi kung
No,
inline,
kasi
di ba, sir, kay attribute ang gamitin.
let's ano na lang HTML tag, no? Kasi inline in the HTML, no? HTML tag to define inline. Style pa rin ang sabi niya. Style attribute.
Internal yan, sir.
External pala yung atin. No, kasi pwede ka mag-style doon sa ano.
Di ba, sir, tatlo yung types ng CSS? Yung external, inline, and internal. Yung
Kasi
internal
internal.
yung magamit ng tag, sir, tapos yung inline magamit ng HTML attribute na style.
Ano dapat answer dito?
None of the above akin, sir.
The internal style, okay? Internal bang nakasabi? Inline man, di ba?
So, dapat hindi siya tag, sir, di ba? Kasi inline man.
Kuha nga tayo ng sample. Ganito. Internal, inline bang nakasabi dito? It's not internal, no? It's supposed to be internal. Okay. Sige lang, i-consider ko na lang yung none of the above, no? Both. But I got that from ano? Because there's no HTML tag. No? There's no HTML tag. By the way, there's no HTML tag to define an internal. Okay? An internal style. Okay, like this, no? Do you follow? Hindi ka pwedeng walang HTML tag. You really have to define a property. Tulad nito, do you follow? There's no tag, but it's a property. Okay? Do you follow? Hindi naman niya sinabing internal, okay? Because if you look at the document, inline means it's not external.
Ang sinabi kasi sir kay tag doon sa question.
Yeah, but there's an HTML tag which is called style.
So,
Dapat
none ang
internal lang.
answer, sir.
Dapat internal. Sige lang, I'll have to change this. I'll have to consider none of the above, no? But for those who have considered style, I'll also consider it correct. Okay? Dapat inline should be internal, no? Okay, I'll give point. You'll have the same points, no? Whether you have style or none of the above, no? But I'll change the question, no? Later. Are we done? Meron pang isa. Wala na, no? Okay. So there are 4 questions that are questionable, no? I'll correct them and your scores will be corrected anyway, no? Any questions so far? I was looking for my source regarding HTTP, no? Introduction to HTTP. Sige lang, mukhang naintindihan. Wala ko ito, no? There's a very good source about introduction to HTTP. Ito na lang, pwede na ito. Because in the next sessions, no, from here on until maybe at the end of the semester, we will shift our focus, no. As of the moment, we are doing front-end web design. Do you follow? Di ba? Front-end web design tayo, which means that we are programming the behavior of the browser. Okay? This is a very common application, no? Because web design is a very popular job, no? In fact, online jobs, no? There are so many online jobs that call for web designers, no? So those who design static web pages, kadamihan, no? Most of them are static web pages. So that's when we use, no, HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, W3, everything that you need to know in order to build a good website, no? A website that looks professionally done, no? Professionals use them, no? However, no, there are websites that are not static. They're active. Ang tawag yan, active servers. Active servers. Do you follow? In fact, in Visual Studio, ang tawag dyan, active server pages. Okay? Like for example, websites that access databases. Now, you have that used your sys, di ba? And then there's also the AAS. There are so many websites that will require access to databases. No? So the behavior of the website will mostly depend on the user input. Okay, these are called active pages. They follow. Most of these active pages will also access databases like MySQL, SQL Server, and so on and so forth. Do you follow? So it is not useful. Front-end programming is still useful there in the sense that you are still going to use HTML, CSS, jQuery, no, JavaScript. Gagamitin mo pa rin. Okay, but when you access databases, you cannot use JavaScript to access databases in the server. Do you follow? So we will shift our focus into server-side, server-side web development. We are now currently doing client-side web development. When we say client-side web development, we are programming the browser. When we say server-side web development, we are programming the web server. Because it's like this, no? You must have seen GitHub, no? Your server is GitHub, your server is W3 spaces, no? So when you access a page, no, a URL, a request will be sent to W3 or to GitHub. This is called an HTTP request. Okay? HTTP means hypertext, ano yung pangalawang T? Transfer protocol, okay? Do you follow? So there's communication between the browser that you are using and the server, okay, on the other end of the internet. Okay? So lilipat tayo ngayon doon sa server side. Do you follow? So we have to be familiar of the oras na ba tayo? No? I think it's time, no? So anyway, we will continue with this next meeting, no? We will explain server-side development first, no? And then we'll install Node.js and then Express.js. And then, of course, we'll try to access MySQL. We'll make a login page to a database, which to a server which has a database of users, no? So it's important to know the different types of HTTP requests. This because this describes the communication between the browser and the server, no? In fact, when we are programming the browser, or rather the server, we are going to write functions to respond to the requests. How to respond to a get, how to respond to a put, how to respond to a post, and how to respond to a delete request. No, the request that comes from the client browser will either be one of these classifications. No, there can be a get request, which means that it will just access a content. Put, which means that change contents on the server post when you, for example, submit a password, no, or a username, no, that's called a post, which means that you're going to send data to the server. Okay? Post ang tawag dyan. When you say delete, when you want to delete content from the server. Okay? So get, put, post, and delete. Okay? Any questions so far? For the moment, I'd like you to install your SAMP. Meron na kayong SAMP? Meron kayong MySQL, right? I'd like you to install your SAMP and get your Visual Studio Code ready. Okay? Kailangan natin ng SAMP kasi nandun na yung MySQL. SAMP or WAMP, no? Okay? Nandun yung MySQL, and then there's a web server called Apache. Anyway, Visual Studio Code will run a sudo web server every time you run your project. Okay? So any questions so far? I'll upload the test, no? And then next meeting, maybe we will discuss the second, no?
Ang PA3, sir, ano siya, sir? Client-sided.
Client-side yan lahat, no? From PA1 to PA3, client-side. Okay? Client-side yan lahat kasi we are programming the browser. Right? We are not programming the server. Basta ang pinoprogram mo, yung browser, client-side yan. Okay? Okay? So, see you next meeting. This will be a very new topic for most of you, no? So, siguro hindi pa nyo na-encounter yung, yung most of the topics here, no? But this is very important, no? We'll start with this next meeting, okay? You install your MySQL, okay? You know how to do that already, right? Your MySQL, your SAMP, or your WAMP, okay? And see you next meeting.
Sir, wait, sir. I thought we're until 3 o'clock, sir.
Until ano?
I thought we are until 3 o'clock, our schedule.
Anong geoblock? Where's
3
that?
o'clock, sir. 3 o'clock p.m.
Can you text that? Can you chat that?
Ay, sir. What I mean, sir, is I thought that our class is up until 3 o'clock p.m.
3 o'clock ba? 1:30 to 3, 2, diba 2:30? 3 o'clock ba? I'm sorry, I'm lost, no? Anyway, tapusin ko na lang ito. Tapusin ko na lang ito, no? Tapusin ko na lang itong, itong hypertext transfer protocol. Do you follow? Okay, so this may be my, no? Do you follow 3 o'clock? So I'm sorry, no? 1:30 to 3. Yes, that's correct, no? Let me check my, So the internet is like this, no? You will have servers and you will have clients. Okay? So and you have different browsers, okay? You will have Mozilla, you will have Chrome, you will have Opera, no? Maraming browsers, but they follow the same protocol. All browsers follow the same protocol in terms of internet requests, and they follow the same language, no? They process the same HTML and they process the same JavaScript. Do you follow? So for example, in case of GitHub and W3 Spaces, every time you request a web page, no, the server gives you the contents of the web page. Do you follow? In our case, even though we are uploading our contents in GitHub and in W3 Spaces, the contents that the server gives you are static contents. No? So anyway, walang programming on the server side. Okay, everything programs the browser. Okay. So another aspect of web development is server-side programming, which means we are going to program the server on how it is going to respond depending on the request that is sent to it by the browser. Do you follow? Do you follow? So the request will come as is defined. What types of requests exist between, what types of communication exist between the client computer and the internet web server? Now, what are the examples of web servers, by the way? No, diba ang known lang sa atin are the browsers, but we do not know what the servers are. So if you have SAMP, you will have Apache. Do you follow? Okay. So Apache is a server, okay, which runs no, to serve is a web server. Okay, we can program Apache to respond accordingly, depending on the request from a browser. That's an open source, no? And then in Microsoft, there's IIS, Internet Information Service. No? Now, if you have a Windows 10, you can install or a client Windows, no? Windows 11, Windows 10, Windows any basta hindi server, you can install an IIS Express. Okay, so that you will have a local host. Let me check if I have a local host. So walang running na servers dito, no? You can run an IIS server or you can also run an Apache in Windows, no? So that you will have a web server which you can program to respond accordingly. Now, the last time I was asking for X10, I was asking you for a free, ano, kasi during my time, no? Long time ago, no? There's a lot of free hosts. 5 years ago, marami pang free hosts. Ngayon, even X10, I'm sorry to tell you, no? X10 hosting does not give us free hosting for. I have already tried this, no? Yung X10, sinubukan ko na. It will not give you a free host for web server-side programs. Do you follow? Pwede ka mag MySQL. You can have simple PHP like WordPress, no? Pwede ka magpatakbo doon sa X10. Pero if you are going to do server-side programming, hindi pwede sa free account. Okay? Although this is very cheap, no? Ang X10. Okay? So, this is about $395 a month if you, pwedeng-pwede na sana, no? And even Azure, no? Ang Azure specifies that it gives a free account but it will require a credit card. So, ngayon wala tayong magawa but we have to host our web pages locally, which means you may need to install SAM. Okay? Kailangan natin mag-install ng local server. Okay? Do you follow? Okay. Okay. Stateless protocol, no? Which means that the client is not aware of the state of the server. Okay? And the server is not aware of the state of the client as long as they know what is being requested and what is being served, no? Okay. Okay, when you give a URL, no, to a server, the server will serve, ang tawag dyan, routes, no? Will just serve routes to the URL. On the client side, you know that it's an address, okay? But where the address really comes from depends on the server. No? Kasi ang server provides what we see is the content, but we do not see how the address or the content is generated. No? All HTTP runs over TCP/IP, no? Hypertext HTTP requests. So for example, when you say W3, the moment you go to a website, no, the browser that you are using will issue a GET request. Do you follow? So a GET request is a request from the browser to get content from the server. Do you follow? Depending on the route that is specified or the URL that is specified. Okay? A post request will require to send data, no? To send data from the browser to the server. An example of a post request is during login, no? When you log into a website, diba? You will have a user name and password, right? And then you will have a submit. That's why I'm requiring you to use forms, because forms in PA3 because one of the first applications that you will have to write is write a login page, no, into a MySQL server. Do you follow? And you will have to do a post request. Now, one of the form actions, no, one of the methods, no, when you say form actions, no, HTML forms. One of the form actions is called submit or post. Hindi nakalagay dito ang ano. I want to get an example of a form. Method, wala, no? When you have a form and you will have a method, no? Form methods. You can specify whether to submit a form request or not, no? Okay. So in the form, you can specify whether the method is a get, which means that the form will be filled up by content from the server. Do you follow? Okay. When you say post, no, there will be a submit button. Usually you will have a submit button, right? And the moment the submit button is clicked, no, a post request will be sent to the server and will be sending data in form of ang tawag dyan, JSONized data, and send it to the server. And the server will react correspondingly according to the post request. Do you follow? For example, if it is a login page, the action taken for the post request will be to check for the username, for the correct user in a user's table, and check if the password is also correct, also from a different field on the table. So you will have a user's table and a corresponding password for each user. Do you follow? So ang ginagawa ng post during login is to check if the given user ID, username, and the password exist in the database. If it does, it will issue another get, no? Magbibigay siya ng get request, ng get result. It will issue a get result of login successful, so that pagkatapos ng post, a new page will be opened informing the user that the login is successful. Do you follow? So pagkatapos ng post, there will be another get request of the same URL. Okay? We will illustrate this further when we do JavaScript programming in Node.js and Express.js. Now, there are many other platforms, no? Pero sa JavaScript tayo kasi this is in preparation also for a possible course. So, meron kayong full stack, no, development where you develop both. Why is it called full stack? Because you develop both the front end and the back end, server side and client side, no? Ikaw ang gagawa ng web design, ikaw rin yung gagawa ng server design, okay? Or server requests. Do you follow? Okay? So the moment you open a web page, it will issue a get request. The moment you issue a submit or a post action in a form, do you follow? Pag meron kang post, meron kang submit button, and the method is a post, it will send a post request to the server when the submit button is clicked. Do you follow? Do you follow? Ito ang mag-identify doon sa form. Do you get my point? That's why I was requiring you to use the form tags in PA3, because we will use this further to issue get and post requests. No? Do you follow? Get and post requests to the server, and we will program the server to correspondingly react accordingly, no? To react accordingly to the post or get request. For example, in a user registration page, do you follow? Diba, may user registration page. Usually, if you go to Facebook, you go to Instagram, and then you don't have an account, you will have the option to go through a URL called register yourself, no? Register new user. It's also a form which asks for your name, your email, no, and your suggested password. And once you submit that, no, because there's a post method, because in the form, okay, the server will receive your name, your email, your password, and then will save it to the database. Do you follow? And then you will be logged in accordingly, correctly right after. Okay? Any questions? Kaya gusto ko kayong, that's why I specify that you use the form tags, because we are going to use it in the near future. No? Do you follow? Gagamitin natin yung post method. Okay?
Paano yan, sir, pag walang method?
Meron talaga method. For all forms will have method. Kung walang method, it's assumed to be get. Okay? Kung hindi ka mag-specify ng method, the default method is get. Do you follow? Okay? Do you follow?
Yes po, sir.
Okay. So this is a new topic, no? Pero this is exciting because we can build, no? From this, we can build a lot of applications such as ordering, di ba? Pwede tayong gumawa ng maliit na Shopee or maliit na Lazada ordering, no? What else? The teachers in Ateneo use an application called AIS to encode the grades. So when they encode the grades, they encode it in a form, and when a submit button is clicked by the teacher, all grades will be submitted to the server, and the server will convert them into SQL using an update command. You know how to update in SQL, right? Diba? Marunong na tayo lahat ng SQL, diba? Anyway, if you don't know, no problem. We'll just rediscuss them again. Okay? Okay? So the 4 different methods, and then the errors, no? The status codes. Ito yung importante. Dapat alam natin itong status codes na ito. Okay? Status codes, because we'll also issue this, no? The moment there's an error in the client side, we will issue error status codes. Okay? 100 is no error. Do you follow? The server received the request and in the process of giving the response. No? Ibig sabihin, nakuha niya yung get request. And 200 is okay. Okay? The request is usually after a post. After processing the post, no? The server will issue a 200 status code. Do you follow? 301 move permanently. Kasi pwede ka mag-issue ng status code instead of sending an output. You just issue an error code. When you say 301, right away the content will be the resource has been transferred. 302 is found and redirect. Have you encountered this? No? 304 not modified. 400 is bad request. We usually have to do this when the user makes an error in the URL. No? Now 401 is a very important status code because there are pages which we want to protect, right? There are pages which we want to protect. For example, there are pages that we would like to show only to logged in users. E paano kung didiretso siya doon sa login URL for login users? The URL for login users. Pwede mo namang i-type yan dito sa URL side, right? Pag alam mo yung URL, you can type the URL address even for the reserved for the logged in users. So that's dangerous, no? So we will issue a 403. Okay, forbidden, or rather 401. Authentication is required. Do you follow? Forbidden server. If uses, these are just status codes, no? That when the server issues will automatically generate a message on the client side, no? Bad gateway, which means that the proxy, no? 408 request timeout, especially if you query a very large database and your database, kasi yung server mo, the server we have actually in the real world, no? Dalawang server doon sa server side. You will have a web server and you will have a database server. So when the URLs or the requests are received by the web server. But it will also make an SQL query from the database server. Pagkatapos, pag mabagal yung database server or nasira yung database server, the web server may not know what to do. So what will it do is it will issue a 408, which means that the request cannot be processed because it's taking too long a time. Do you follow? Or if the SQL server returned a very long query, for example, if it returned 100,000 records, so hindi pwedeng ibigay yun ng ano. The server cannot give it to the client browser. Do you follow? So you'll have to issue a 414. Request URL is too large. Do you follow? Do you get my point? So in general, ito yung mga ano, no? Status codes in 3-digit numbers. Pag 1XX, informational. Pag 2XX, successful. Pag 3XX, redirection. Pag 4XX, client error. No? There might be an error in the URL. For example, a wrong username, no? Or a wrong password, no? Mali yung na-encode na no? Email, no? And then 5XX, there's a server error. Okay? Which means that the request is valid, but the server is not able to respond to it accordingly. Okay? Any questions? Okay, file not found. When you download, no? 404 yan. When you download and the file is not found, okay? That's a 404 error. Okay? Any questions so far? No? We'll be doing a lot of this, no? Gagamitin talaga natin ito because we'll be, when you are server-side programming, you are processing HTTP requests. Actually, server-side programming is to develop functions, no, to respond to HTTP requests accordingly, whether it's a GET request, it's a POST request, put or delete. Okay? Any questions so far? Okay. So for the moment, I'd like you to install. I'm not sure if there's an instruction on how to install SAMP, but have you done this? Everyone? XAMPP or WAMP? Kasi nandun yung MySQL, right? May nakapackage na MySQL doon. The bottom line is I want you to install your MySQL yourself. Okay? So hindi na tayo mag-discuss niyan, no? It's presumed you know how to do it. Anyway, if you don't know, tell me so I'll give you a link on how to do these things properly. Madali lang to, no? Mag-install ng WAMP at saka SAMP. It's automated anyway, no? Okay? Any questions so far? No? So titingnan ko yung mga ano, no? Sa February 15. Yung mga performance assessments. Okay? Siguro ang next assessment natin will be on the end of February na. No? Because we'll still have a lot of things to discuss. No? Any questions so far? No? Prepare your SAMP and your WAMP and your Visual Studio Code. Kasi wala nga tayong makuhang host, no? Wala tayong makuhang free host. So we have to host everything locally. Okay? So, see you next meeting. No? Thanks for coming, everyone. Okay.
Sir, pwede mag-ask.
Pwede na. No? No?
Ilan tayo na PAA overall, sir?
Come again?
Ilan yung PAA natin?
Tatlo na, no? Ang una yung HTML and CSS. Tatlo na ba? Or dalawa pa lang? Yeah. Tingnan natin, no? Let me look at that, no? Tatlo na nga, no? Kasi yung PA2, yung PA3, yung jQuery. PA3, jQuery and jQuery UI. Sitan, no? And then yung PA2 is Bootstrap and W3. Do you follow? Bootstrap and W3. And then yung PA1, CSS. Okay? Tatlo na, no? Okay? Ang ano pa lang, ang natingnan ko, ang PA1 pa lang. Okay?
May idadagdag ka pa, sir, na PA or wala?
Marami pa, no? Marami pa tayong madadagdag na PA because mas marami tayong gagawin doon sa server side. Imagine you are going to create a login page, you are going to create a simple ordering, hindi na siguro tayo gagawa ng ordering, no? A simple CRUDs lang. CRUDs, create, retrieve, update, delete, search. Okay? For example, CRUDs for customers or CRUDs for students. You will have a list of students where you want to display students, and then you will create new students, update students. No? Do you follow? Marami pa, no? Maybe 3 or 4 more. No? Kasi una, login page. That's one ano. Then pangalawa is get request for all customers. Do you follow? How to add a customer, how to update a customer, how to delete a customer. Di ba? PA3 no, wala pang server side, okay? You will know that you will have a server side programming because you will access an SQL database. Do you follow?
Yes, po, sir.
Di ba? Nag-access na ba tayo ng database doon sa jQuery? jQuery UI? Wala pa, di ba? Okay. Server side tayo. We will be
Bale,
using-
sir, yung validation sa form, sir, kay basic lang yun. Hindi pa yun yung parang i-forward mo pa sa ano. para
Hindi pa.
ma-verify.
Hindi pa, no?
Okay.
Client side pa lang yun. Client side lang. Okay. So, see you next meeting, no? Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.